Board of Managers regular meeting. It is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, 9 a.m. We're in the Mountains View City Hall Council chambers. And let the record reflect that 4 of the managers are here, but John Waller is absent with prior notice. Mr. Administrator, I understand you want to make an amendment to the agenda.
Yes, President Bradley, I would like to amend the agenda to include contracted services agreement, JD2, judicial ditch 2 work order. I'd suggest a new item 5 and then renumber down from there.
So I will move the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. So that takes us then to approval of minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the January 6, 2025 workshop minutes and the January 9, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Patrick, you're up.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, apologies for not being there in person today. The cold weather, my furnace failed. So I have a new one being installed right now. So appreciate the virtual option here. One application on the consent agenda today.
Manager Bradley, if I could, I believe some of the folks here are having trouble hearing. Patrick, if we could have the audio turned up on.
Oh, you
Patrick.
did it. There we go.
Oh, boy.
Oh, how about now?
Yeah, you're fine.
Much better.
Okay, great.
Don't
Yeah, now we have hot mics.
Do we ever?
One application, this is the Radisson Business Center. If folks remember this, we had action from the board a couple months ago. I think this was probably in November. It was the WACA sequencing application at that time. They have since come back and submitted an application for all of the rules, stormwater, erosion control, wetland replacement plan, all of that. So happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions of Patrick? If not, can we have a motion?
Mr. President, I would move to Caprock permit number 24-040.
I'll second.
Oh, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Can't tell, is there anyone on the phone that we have to consider for open mic? There's no one here. All right, we can move on. I believe our first item is the Rice Creek Watershed District Board of Officers election. Nick, do you want to make any comments?
President Bradley, Board of Managers, this is an annual item for you to elect your officers going forward. You'll see on page 29 of the packet, you can do a slate all at once if no one objects. Otherwise, you can look at the individual offices itself. Maybe it's noteworthy, as you mentioned at roll call, Manager Waller is away. I did happen to speak with him yesterday, and we mentioned at the workshop the importance of unity at the board level, and I won't quote him, but feel free to move ahead with business of the district, which is surprising.
We have a dual problem that we have a bylaw that says we're supposed to do it before January and before February, and I will be gone the first meeting in February. So I appreciate the opportunity to proceed. I would be so bold as to move a slate of the existing officers.
I'd second that.
Is there anyone who opposes that, either the slate or individually of the officers? If not, let's do a roll call. Manager Robertson?
Aye.
Manager Wagaman?
Aye.
Aye.
And Bradley, aye. So it passes 4-0. Thank you. I will continue to strive to do the best I can, and I'm always open for your comments and suggestions.
Mr. Chair, would it be appropriate before we move on to the next item, just to state the roles and who will be continuing those roles? Just
That's a good idea, actually.
semantics.
Thank you. Well, yes, but so Michael Bradley from Ramsey County will be the president, and our treasurer will be
Marcy Weiner from Ramsey County. Yes, got
There you
it?
go.
We're off to a great
At my
start.
wedding, I couldn't remember who my next door neighbor was. These are things-
Oh, my gosh.
And you're, and of course, Manager Waller will be our first vice president.
Yeah.
And I believe you're the
I think I'm
second
second.
vice president. And Manager Robertson, and it's Wagaman, Steve Wagaman. And Manager Robertson, you are our secretary. And anytime, by the way, that you wish to move up the ladder, just let us know.
Fine.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for that suggestion. I believe that takes us then to the permit, Rice Creek Watershed District permits in Ramsey County.
Yes, President Bradley, Board of Managers, this item is simply to provide some information, clarity, some transparency from comments that were on the previous meeting and January, and 9th, and Patrick's here to speak to the document on page 32, his memo.
Yes, thanks, Nick, Board of Managers. Yes, an informational item here. In December, the board decided to continue the inspection services agreement with the Ramsey County SWCD for permit inspections and other activities. At the last meeting, I provided a general update about the amount of workload that includes within this area of the district, and there was a request for some additional detail. So the item here in the packet identifies specific permit data over the last 5 years and broken out further into the activities within Ramsey County's inspection territory. So on the page there, 32 of the packet, you'll see that we had 542 applications district-wide. 131 of those are in the inspection area I've referenced, so 24% of the overall applications. And then if we look at the amount of inspections that staff have completed, internal staff, contracted staff, that number is 3,616, and 1,327 of those inspections were completed by Ramsey County SWCD, so 36.7% of all inspections. So just a little further detail of the great work and partnership that we do have with Ramsey County. I'd just like to quick highlight that these numbers are easy to generate with MS Forefront. A nice feature of that and being able to search for this different criteria. And just another quick note that this is specifically, like inspection data and application data, but we do have other benefits of the partnership, and we can have violations reviewed, and we can have coordination. We have these meetings and talk about process and all of that. So happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of some of the data.
Nick?
Yes, Board of Managers, Patrick, it references the Ramsey County inspection area, and I know we had discussed the fluidness of the inspection areas, but, so it's not the entirety of Ramsey County, nor is it the entirety of Ramsey County within Rice Creek, correct?
That is correct,
It
yes.
So a couple of the cities are covered by district staff, portions thereof, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, we have portions within the district that are within Ramsey County that are covered by internal staff as well.
And the detailed information you provided us included those the staff is serving.
I would say no. So if we're looking at the application number, 131, and then the inspection number, the 1,327, those are all specifically within the area of Ramsey County that is covered by the SWCD.
Yeah, but the 542 and the 3,616 appear to be district-wide.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all I was trying to, we already have that comparison. All right.
So, Mr. Chair, this just, I guess, emphasizes, one of the statement was that there was so much building that was going on in the northern part of the district. And this is showing us that there are permit applications throughout the district in pretty much proportional amounts. So,
Yep.
thank you, Patrick. This is helpful.
Anything further? If not, we can move on to the Washington County Cooperative Weed Management Area Partnership.
Yes. Board of Managers, this item is an opportunity for Rice Creek to collaborate and demonstrate support for a partner initiative. This is Washington County, and they do, as the title suggests, have a cooperative weed management area partnership. This is, I would say, a ancillary issue of the district. Certainly, we're concerned about invasive species as aquatic plants and their implications for water quality. There is a small amount of carryover and considering terrestrial plants and those types of invasive species. We did enter into this previously, and here Washington County just wants to renew that MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. We do have a similar one with Ramsey County. This does not obligate the district to any action or expense. Again, it's show of support. We did have legal, Rinke Noonan, review the document. They've confirmed it doesn't create any financial obligation for the district, does not require the district to specifically adopt or change any of its practices, and it does have a clause for us to withdraw when we give notice if we should ever so desire. So with that, I would ask the managers to direct participation. And there is a proposed motion on page 34 of the packet.
Are there any questions of Nick?
Mr. Chair, I would move to authorize the administrator on the advice of council to sign entering into the Washington County Cooperative Weed Management Area Memorandum of Understanding.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Nick. We can move on then to what? Item 4, Houston Engineering Task Order.
Yes, Board of Managers, this is a task order for your reporting of the comprehensive wetland protection and management plans. This is an annual event. They're known by the acronym CWPMPs, and Patrick's here to speak to that. We're on page 42 of the packet.
Busy day, Patrick.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess not much to offer beyond what Nick has shared here with the CWPMPs and the way that it's approved through the Wetland Conservation Act. We do have to report on our activities annually. So this is something we do every year. Houston has prepared a task order to assist with the gathering of the information, putting together that report for the submittal. And so that's the task order here from Houston 2025-001. Yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Steve, go
Could
ahead.
you just give us the Cliff Notes version of the importance and what the CWPMPs actually do?
Yes, Manager Wegeman, the CWPMP's collaborative effort with those cities that participate in the areas. This was I guess a larger resource consideration, looking at wetlands, looking at the public drainage systems, and it is a way to modify the Wetland Conservation Act within those areas. So we looked at these larger corridors of wetland. You'll hear the wetland management corridor referenced. So that includes that establishment. It alters the wetland replacement ratios to, incentivize keeping those wetlands together, not impacting those. And then ones that are outside of the corridor, having a lower replacement ratio. It does have some different language in there about some of the replacement activities when you're doing it project specific and such. So it is a modification of WACA specifically within areas of the district.
Thank you.
So excuse me, Patrick, if my recollection is, for example, the settlement agreement we have up in Blaine divided that area into a northern and a southern area based upon the CWMP trying to protect, I think, the northern area from development compared to the southern area, giving an incentive for that. Is that an example?
Yeah, I would say it's a good example. There's an old figure. I think that one would come from the early 2000s, which shows at the time it was called the CWMP. But it does show that intended wetland management corridor area would have been the wetland preservation zone, I think, in that old rule language. But yes, that does show on the north end, that was what was the intention.
Board of Managers, to augment what Patrick has shared, it's a resource assessment. So the wetlands that are within the corridor are assessed and determined to be of a higher or lower value, and the corridor is then further refined as developments come through. So the northern part of the parcel you note, or anywhere throughout the district, that initial assessment said, these are higher quality, these are associated with floodplain, these are associated with public drainage systems. This would create the corridor. This is a corridor by which water flows through the district. This is a corridor of habitat, if you will, as well, and those types of things. And then development occurs around it.
Andrew Robinson?
Yeah, thank you. And apologies if maybe what I'm going to ask or comment is not completely relevant. I know historically there's been challenge specifically within Anoka County, the city of Blaine, in reference to the Metro Gun Club. There are properties for sale. I know wetlands were a component of the not seeing eye to eye between the property owner and the watershed. Is something like this going to impede their plans to develop that site? Is it going to make it more difficult? And I guess the other comment I would make is, unless again I'm misunderstanding, we had dialogue a couple of months ago regarding some of the watershed's regulatory, just typical regulatory items, in how some of those do supersede state and even, federal laws in some cases, or statutes. And I just want to be careful that we're not boxing ourselves in. I think the intention certainly is good. Where I always have objection is that we create, regulations or rules that are, blanket, when in reality, kind of to the administrator's point, we have wetlands that are degraded. I mean, even going back to the item we approved earlier, that site was literal, for lack of a better term, like trash wetlands. Like on the scale of like trash to premium, those were garbage, but we ended up in a fight about garbage wetlands. And I just don't want that to be habit. I still, if this is what the watershed wants to do, that's fine, but I still want there to be, some kind of collaborative effort if there are, unforeseen things or specific things that are characteristic to one site versus another. I just don't want to blanket make rules that, and I'm not just saying this is for the city of Blaine, because I know Columbus has a lot of wetlands. Everything really in northern Anoka County is wetlands, and we're aware of that. So it would just be maybe a cautionary tale, not so much even a question, so to speak, but I just want to be guarded that when we do things like this, and we know there's things out there that have been problematic or could continue to be, I don't certainly want to contribute to ongoing negative dialogue. I don't think any of us do. I think we all want to be in a place of collaboration and partnership, so I just don't want to impede that by doing something like this, if that makes sense.
Thank you for your comments. Let me see if I can unpack.
Unbox it?
Yeah, first of all, these exist because the city came to us and asked for them.
The city of Blaine did?
Yep. So we did not initiate this. This is an effort by them to try to work around the problems they're facing because of wetlands. We have one up in Forest Lake. We did one for the Columbus. We did one for the Moore Lake area. These are all not us initiated. Secondly, this is merely a contract to report on the status.
And that's fine.
So we aren't doing anything positive here. We're just fulfilling a statutory obligation to report on these things. Your points are well taken. Obviously, I was there. I don't know if I was on board for any of the creation of any of these. Maybe there was.
I don't believe so.
So, the last one of these was created was before. I've been on the board now 11 years. So they're all older than 11 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the motivation was back when they did them, other than the concept?
Sure.
So there you have it. Nick?
Yeah, Board of Managers, a couple of different items. True, the city's participated and needed to be a collaborative partner in their establishment. I'd say the origination came on Anoke Kindage 5362, the general vicinity of the 109th Gun Club and those, where there were strips of upland and wetland based on drainage and ditches on this property and how to aggregate upland and aggregate wetland and have a process to move forward and allow for development. To the rules, so that's a study and a plan, and then rules were adopted to implement that. Within that, there are higher and lower ratios. Like Patrick noted, the Wetland Conservation Act is amended, and so low-quality wetlands have a lower replacement ratio than what is found in the state's law, and there are some higher ones. So if there's high-quality vegetation, that's all a process to work through and apply through, much like WACA as it exists at the state. I'll say that all those properties along 109th and in the other communities that Manager Bradley noted were subject to the same or very similar criteria. And so north of 109th, you see all the developments, and they've all been able to achieve the level of development that they're looking for and move through that process. And now I would just make note of Lino Lakes, and they're looking at the AUAR and that area of concern where we have public drainage, we have farmland or sod fields and this type of thing. And what is this development going to look like? And this is a lens that is looked through as to how that development might look, and that doesn't prohibit them from impacting wetlands. It doesn't prohibit them applying to move the public drainage system and this kind of thing. But like a lot of plans, it tries to orchestrate a well thought out development into the future with properties.
Mr. Chair, yeah, John had his hand up.
Hi, John. Welcome.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, I think Mr. President and Nick, excellent job explaining that. I did want to address one comment that the manager made about this kind of blanket issue. I mean, the reason why we have these individualized plans is because strict application of the Wetland Conservation Act across the entire district would have resulted in extreme limitations on development. And so these plans, as has been indicated, were intended to be applied to specific areas with specific resource concerns and development needs in order to protect what was important, but then facilitate alterations that would encourage and allow for development. So again, this was an attempt by the district to really customize application of the Wetland Conservation Act in a way that was consistent with the Wetland Conservation Act to actually allow for recognition of higher, lower quality wetlands, and then also to allow for what has been described as this consolidation of uplands. And I think without that, much of the development that I think has responsibly occurred under the district's supervision with the application of these plans likely would not have been able to occur if we were just to apply the basics of the Wetland Conservation Act across that same landscape. So this is really an effort to try to customize that regulatory program within specific areas in the district so as to achieve the economic development plus the resource protections. And if I've misspoke on that, Patrick especially, please correct me.
Steve, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, before I start, I mean, no disrespect to Columbus because they've had just excessive turnover and they're trying to get their feet back under them after a lot of people have changed hands and stuff. And I have talked to them about their CWPMP, and quite frankly, the new people coming in don't really understand it. I don't think they understand the significance of it, what it does, even what's in it, to be honest with you. And I don't know if there's a way that we can get them up to speed or, so they understand it, but it's mainly to do with a lot of turnover of people.
President Bradley, Board of Managers, Manager Wagon, be happy to reach out to City of Columbus staff and to the elected folks and offer,
You know, and
yeah,
I am actually talking to the administrator of the city, because I've never mentioned this to him, and that might, if you call him out of the blue on it, you
Yeah,
may wonder what the heck you're even calling him about, but
Yep.
I will mention it because I have to talk to him anyways, and I will tell him
yeah.
that you would, and give him a heads up. Thank you.
Anything further?
Just
Yeah.
in closing, again, I'm not picking on anybody either. That wasn't my intention. Wetlands have kind of been a hot topic as it relates to development through that Anoka County corridor specifically. So again, I did state before my comments that this is like the ill-placed, dialogue related to the item. Apologies for that, but I do think that it is important to continue to look for ways to kind of ease the angst of development as it relates to wetlands and communities being able to, develop economic development, promoting that within their communities. So that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So did we ever get a motion on this thing? No. Okay, can we have a motion to approve the expenditure?
Where are we here?
I will move to authorize the board president to execute the HEI Task Order 2025-01 to prepare the 2024 CWPMP Annual Monitoring Report in an amount not to exceed $17,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. That was a good discussion. Calendar update or
Nope.
new five?
Yes.
This is the walk-up item. If you would please describe what it is and why it's here.
Yeah. Board of Managers, new item 5 is the contracted services agreement, the JD2, or Judicial Ditch 2 work order. So annually, as you may recall, the board enters into contracted services agreements. These are the means by which we hire contractors to do maintenance on the ditch system. We have one of those contracts with Dunaway Construction. And we do enter into those, then a work order comes. Please do X, Y, and Z on this portion of the ditch system, and those are reported to the board within the limitations in delegation of Resolution 2304, and it's reported to the board in your packet with, these are the contracts that the district entered into. Now into the meat of it. So here, staff, myself, the administrator, along with approval from the board president, entered into a work order with Dunaway Construction on JD2, the main trunk ditch, to do bank right-of-way work north of Highway 4, east of JD2, Branch 4, price of $16,250. Now we have another one, and so while these are indeed separate work orders, and for the flexibility, mobilization, and those types of things that contractors have, and to avoid the appearance of any impropriety of the administrator, board president, or the district in general, I'm asking board approval on this second one because it would exceed the delegated
If you took-
thresholds.
yeah, If you took the 19,000 plus the 16,000, it exceeds the amount you've authorized me to approve. So I said, let's bring it here.
Yeah,
Normally I would have approved it, but it's the same contract company, it's the same work type within a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I would move approval of the contract with Dunaway Construction to do cut and mulch of JD2 main trunk ditch bank right of way north of County Road 4, southwest of Judicial Ditch 2, Branch 4, at a price of $19,662.50.
I'll second it, and I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Is this ad valorem, comes out of ad valorem?
Correct. The district's maintenance of its public drainage system as well as facilities are ad valorem.
So this is annual maintenance, or, I mean, this is expected maintenance that would occur, nothing unusual.
President Bradley, Board of Managers, yes. The district does expect annual maintenance of its public drainage systems and facilities. However, the nature of the beast is largely unknown. So beaver dams, trees falling in are probably the biggest unknown, but we do set aside a pot of money to address these.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Nick.
President Bradley, the next item is action item number 6, the Rice Creek 2025 Board of Managers calendar. You establish a calendar, you periodically update it to identify when the quorum of the board will be meeting for its work. The Minnesota Watershed Summer Tour, which many of the managers attend, is the fourth Wednesday of the month, so it coincides with the district's regular scheduled meeting. It is in northern Minnesota, basically a 4 or 5 hour drive for most of us. So most managers, or a good deal of them, I doubt whether we'd get a quorum on that day. And so I would suggest that we move the second board meeting in June to Monday, June 23rd, instead of its regular Wednesday. So on page 50 of the packet, you'll see June's meeting date updated, day and date updated.
I need a motion to do this?
Yes, please.
Okay. I would move the amendment to, or have we've not approved the calendar?
We have,
We
did
have,
have
this is
December.
yep,
okay. Amending the schedule, amending the board's calendar to reflect the change in that June 23rd date.
I'll second. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll note that I was, because I looked and saw that today, that if you look in January 22nd, it doesn't have the 6 o'clock meeting there, and so I panicked. That's why you all got re-notified that we are in fact meeting tonight at 6 o'clock.
yeah.
That's also on the record now.
Yeah, thanks for that, President Bradley. Just to note, establishing a calendar so the public can know when it might engage. The Rice Creek Board, on the other hand, we do have events come up where we have public hearings, and those are special, and we do provide additional noticing of those, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think that takes us, to the check register? Here's your one. You wanna?
Sure. First, I'd note that at your desk today, you have an updated report from Red Path dated January 21st, which reflects the actual amounts that are being approved right now. So I would move the approval of the check register dated January 22nd, 2025 in the amount of $366,404.37, and the January interim financial statement prepared by Red Path and Company.
Steve, you want to second that?
I would second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Steve got special notice because of his past status as our.
And Mr. Chair, I would just note, I follow very quickly the carefully the surety releases. And Patrick, good job on getting some of those, what we're calling them, heritage. Long
Yeah,
time.
open permits. Let's
Open
move on to
permits.
open
Let's-
permits.
Let's go from there. So, yes,
Yeah.
getting
President,
those taken care of and off the books.
Cool.
President Bradley?
Yes.
Just to advance that thought, yes, so we've had historic permits or those, there was kind of a, post the pre-2008 economic boom and all the development, the management of the open permits was maybe not as attentive as it should have been, and that's kind of what we look at as historic permits. Patrick and the team have done a good job of reconciling that. You may recall a past presentation regarding that. We'll do that into the future. But I think the feeling now, or my feeling, is that we have a good capture of what's open, what we should be attentive to, that our sureties that we're holding on behalf of these projects is in alignment with the open permits in our system. And if I might, a little bit farther, just to the monthly report that Manager Wynett noted from Redpath. Teresa does a lot of work to bring the board's approved budget into alignment. So we're all starting from the same page on what those budgeted amounts are. And then obviously we proceed from there to spend out of those funds. So that's a good, important piece of work that Teresa undertook for us.
And Patrick has his hand up.
Just a couple of quick comments. Closures, a lot of closures this year, which is fantastic. And of course, like Nick mentioned, I'll report specifics on that later to the board. But a lot of closures this year, even with turnover and getting new staff into the regulatory department. So very, very pleased with that. And as far as these open, unresolved permits and everything, we've had a lot of discussion internally about those and the process of tackling these. So there's a bit more effort being put into that in these kind of winter months. So I expect we'll be seeing more of that, which is great.
Good. We're up to staff
Thank you.
reports. Any questions or comments on the staff reports?
Well, apart from the fact that they're always very interesting and once again, just reinforces all the work that happens within the watershed that we don't see before us at the board. I mean, just the day-to-day work that we've approved, we've set the budget for, and they've just gone forth and got the work done. So I appreciate the updates.
Any other comments? Anything, questions? All right. We're up to the February calendar. Particularly noteworthy here. We've got the legislative meetings hopefully coming up in February. I will be absent from the state until February 25th. So John Waller will dutifully take over all responsibilities in the interim. I appreciate that. And what's next, Nick?
Administrator updates. President Bradley, Board of Manager, a number of things to share with you. The Rice Creek boundary change, we did receive an update from the state. You're likely to, they were assembling quotes at that time for the publication that they need to undertake. A number of our partners, the cities, have asked for that information as well, so they can inform landowners as well. So you might see or hear about that. We're Peltier Lake water quality efforts. There's an association and residents that are interested in improving that body of water. I know there's been a number of communications and meetings that are taking place to find solutions that may be helpful to improve water quality. Oak-Kind Ditch 102232, you'll recall that Scandia Trucking did some work out there and clean that system. There was a review of that work, survey, et cetera, and it was found to be consistent with what the district was asking them to do. At one point, we talked about a discrepancy in elevation between what a landowner had identified through their own independent surveyor. That has to do much with a benchmark, the starting point of a survey. There's one that the county has, there's one that MnDOT has, and I'm here to say that the district's work and the survey, they're in alignment based on a differing benchmark or starting point. I'm looking at Chris. Did I cover that well?
Yeah, if, from what it appears that, there's a slight discrepancy between the two benchmarks, and what's important is that the benchmark that we're working off of, that we're consistent in doing that, everything is relative, and so everything that we've done to date has been off of the benchmark that is consistent with all the other work, and so given that there's, I guess is maybe reassuring or confirms that the work that we're doing is consistent and based on the same data.
Thank you. President Bradley, moving on from there, you may recall the city of Willerny had a stormwater management grant. They had a staff person pass away, and that is in the works to be done, and we'll be looking to award out that grant dollar soon. So that's resolved. I did reach out to our elected representative, Sandra Fist, in regards to our Ramsey County Ditch 2, 3, and 5 project, most notably the Jones Lake work. She is supportive and gave me some guidance. I'll be reaching out to other elected folks and submitting a form that the state would like for our interest in bonding dollars for that. So that is moving along. And I did have the district join what's called the Ramsey County League of Local Governments. Staff, myself, and a number of the other watersheds did speak at it some maybe a year or more ago in regards to flooding at Evergreen Ponds location in Shoreview, and in some of the district's work. This is a group for Ramsey County local governments, obviously, but to promote cooperation, collaboration of these different levels of government and units so we know what each other are doing. And beyond that, I'll just note that tonight, Ramsey County Ditch 1, the public hearing is at 6 p.m. And I, as you know, certainly hoping to have a quorum. Manager Waller and Manager Robertson will not be present, so.
So the three of us
show up.
anticipate being there, so.
Wonderful. That's all I have.
All right, very good.
I have no updates.
I have no updates.
No, Mr. Chair, I think Nick addressed it. I just won't be able to attend tonight due to the city rescheduling council meetings.
There you go. And I just want to thank you for your vote. I know there probably isn't a whole lot of alternatives, but I really do appreciate it. I will strive to do my best, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair, with that, I guess I would make a motion to adjourn is where we are next,
I would
correct?
certainly second
Oh,
that.
wonderful.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Look at this
Look at it.
unity.
We all want to go home. News.